What's going on, everybody, in the internet world? This is James Krasnerick here. Another live podcast of Real Steel Sports on Spreaker Web Radio. Last night I more did like a generalized show talking about the NHL and the NBA and all those kind of things, but tonight I'm going to be sticking to one topic, and that's the free agency. And that today was the first day of free agency. It's a new league year started at 4 o'clock Eastern on this Monday, March 11th, 2014. This Tuesday, my apologies. Keep thinking it's Monday. Yeah, I almost went to one of my Monday classes today on Tuesday because I got my dates confused. Anyway, let's go through the list and see so far what's been done. Jarius Byrd, the number one overall free agent according to NFL.com, the safety has agreed to a 6-year, $56 million deal, $28 million guaranteed contract with the New Orleans Saints. And I think that's an absolute great deal because the Saints needed a better safety. They needed an upgrade from Malcolm Jenkins. Malcolm Jenkins did practice against a high school receiver and got beat repeatedly. I know it was a few years ago, but still, Jenkins is not that good at safety, and Jarius Byrd is a great upgrade. Eugene Monroe, the offensive tackle for the Ravens, has agreed to an extension. He will be staying in Baltimore, $37 million over 5 years. 37.5, I should say. Defensive end Michael Johnson agreed to a deal with the Bucks. It'll be more than $8 million a year. And one of the more interesting situations is Alex Mack. He said he can create offers of teams that the Browns cannot match. And for his personal sake, as for everybody who's involved in Cleveland, I kind of hope so. Because, Alex Mack's a likable guy, and that team is just terrible. Lamar Houston, defensive end, has agreed to terms with Chicago, $35 million and $15 million guaranteed. Some of the other big three agents. DeMarcus Ware getting cut. I'm not surprised, but I am kind of shocked that they didn't restructure. Because DeMarcus Ware is right now the best pass rusher, one of the best pass rushers in pro football. He can get to the quarterback as good as any. In fact, if you look at DeMarcus Ware's, career totals, he's had so many seasons where he's literally been just unblockable. His career sack total of 117 is currently 18th overall and 4th amongst active players. But if you look at his career, he had 3 seasons of more than 14 sacks or more, 4 seasons of 14 sacks or more. And he's just been such a dominant player, either at defensive end or at linebacker. And it's been amazing to watch this guy play throughout his whole career. I think he's still got at least 2 or 3 more good years left. And whatever team gets him as a discount, if they do, that'll be just a great thing because they'll be set for a couple of years on that one side of the defensive front. Now back to the list of free agents. Aqib Talib has reached a deal with 6 years, $57 million, 26 guaranteed with the Denver Broncos. That just shores up the secondary. They got absolutely torched by Seattle in the Super Bowl. And speaking of Denver, they also signed safety T.J. Ward. I don't believe they've released the terms of the contract. That being said, is that it's probably a big deal. And think about it. They get T.J. Ward to play alongside Aqib Talib, safety and cornerback. That's gonna be a hell of a good tandem in that secondary. That secondary instantly has credibility now. Lamar Woodley getting cut by the Steelers. I have Lamar Woodley's jersey. He's one of my favorite players on the team, but I think it was a really good decision to let him go. As much as I love watching him play, it's that if you more or less look at what Lamar Woodley has done, over the last 3 years. I mean, his first 3 years as a starter, 2008, 2009, 2010, he accumulated 35 careers. He accumulated 35 sacks in his first 3 years starting. His last 3, yes, he's been injured a lot. He's accumulated only 18. So that just goes to show his production was decreasing, and the Steelers, I think, kind of noticed that. He wasn't being as effective nearly in stopping the run, defending the pass, or pass rushing, which he's really much supposed to do. So I think releasing Woodley's a good thing. I think Jason Worlds has proven he's a solution at that position, and Jarvis Jones on the other side is going to be a hell of a tandem for years to come. A couple of the other skill position players, Hakeem Nicks and Jermichael Finley. Nicks, former wide receiver for the Giants, and Finley, former tight end for the Seahawks. I heard the Seahawks just signed a tight end. I can't remember. I think his name was Anthony Cooper. The Seahawks just signed him earlier today. And Hakeem Nicks, I think, would be a really good fit, not just in Carolina. I think he'd be an absolute perfect fit in Indianapolis. I really do, because you give Andrew Luck a target he's never really had. He's a bigger, stronger receiver. And that's not something he's used to having. He's used to having speed guys that could get open with their legs. You put your Hakeem Nicks in that offense with Reggie Wayne, who could come back off a torn ACL, Kobe Fleener and Dwayne Allen at tight end, a running back if they actually get one in the draft, because at this point I'm convinced that Trent Richardson's not an NFL running back. And then you've got Eric Decker if they potentially bring him in to go alongside T.Y. Hilton. My gosh, how are you going to stop that? And that's it they bring Decker into. That's all speculation. I mean, you just look at the teams that people have been linking him to. I mean, then again, I doubt if one team's going to sign Decker, I doubt the other is going to sign Hakeem Nicks, and vice versa. If you look at the other players that have been released, Julius Peppers was released. And you're looking at Julius Peppers, I don't think he's got a whole lot left in the tank. He can be a really good player. I mean, he was set to make $13.9 million and had a cap number of $20 million this year. I mean, for a guy that age and a guy whose production has fallen off over the past few years, that's kind of overdoing it if you wanted to pay him. I mean, yes, he's made 8 career Pro Bowls, but this past year he was average. The 2 years before that he was really good, and the year before that he was an All-Pro. I mean, he's had 3 All-Pro performances in his career, and he's been a really good defensive playmaker. But at the same time, he's 34 years old. You can't really pay a 34-year-old pass rusher over $20 million. You can't do it. It hurts your team. If I were to pick, now I'm going to go through, because I've gone through all the big names that have been more or less released. I'm going to go through where I think the other guys that have not agreed the terms are going to end up. I look at Alex Mack as probably going to a different team, because I think he's going to try to get a deal done that the Browns won't be able to match, that'll go to a contender that needs an offensive lineman, particularly a center, which he is, and I think that'll make the difference. Who else? I think DeMarcus Ware is going to end up with a team out in the West, and its name's the Denver Broncos. Because if you look at Denver, they didn't get any pressure on Russell Wilson in that Super Bowl. They need to really improve their pass rush. If they could plug him on the defensive side, they could get Sean Phillips for another year or two. A couple good years out of him to go with Ware. He had to be a veteran defensive line, but think about it. You have Ware on one end and Phillips on the other, 2 really good players. That'd be something really tough for an opposing offense to have to deal with. Eric Decker, I see either going to Indianapolis, Carolina. I'd love to see him end up in New Orleans or in Pittsburgh. Those are just kind of wishing, because those teams are going to pay him near that much. If I had to pick a wild card team right now, looking at the salary cap numbers right now, I'd have to say a team that I think would really benefit. I'm going off of a report from March 3rd. I know that's over a week ago. But a lot of these teams have have a lot of cap room. Some of these teams do not. Like the Steelers, they need to move some room and cut some guys. But if I had to pick a team Eric Decker could go to, it'd be Indianapolis. And the reason why I say Indianapolis is because they need receivers, and he's got that potential. If anything, maybe even New England, because they've always got cap room and they always could use receivers. You give Eric Decker to Tom Brady to go along with Julian Edelman and a couple other guys. If Julian Edelman decides to stay there, they'll get Gronkowski back from his injury. And they've even heard stories of Darren Sproles potentially going to New England. That'd be a hell of an offense. Jermichael Finley is supposed to visit Seattle, and I think that'd be a really good sign for that football team because he's a very dynamic tight end, and he's really good at creating mismatches with his speed. But I would have to say Jermichael Finley's probably going to stay in Green Bay. That's just my guess. Maybe he goes to Seattle, maybe not, but I'm really not sure he's going to go. Noshawn Marino had a hell of a year this past year with over 1,000 yards from scrimmage, but I think he's going to end up with a team such as Indianapolis, a team that really needs a running back. Like Indy could really use one. Who else? The Giants have proven they don't exactly have that great a running game. I think they could potentially go there. He's going to go to a team that really needs a run game that's going to want to run the football, that actually is a quarterback that can make plays through his arm. And I see a potential fit between Noshawn Marino and maybe I sound crazy in this, but I could potentially see him going up to what's that team's name? I just had a brain fart. Hang on, guys. I could see Noshawn Marino potentially playing for Jacksonville. Because if you look at the list, you got Maurice Jones-Drew. He's not going to want to be around too much longer. They could potentially trade him, but I could see that being a pick because he'll go to a team with a good running game, more or less. I seem like I'm kind of out of it and making assumptions. Then I'm sorry. I'm really tired. I had a long day. But if I had to say right now which teams are winning free agency, it's definitely Cleveland, Tampa, and Denver. Because Denver got the two of the best defensive backs, T.J. Ward and Aqib Talib. Cleveland got Carlos Dansby and Deshaun Goltz and Dante Whitner. And then you go down south and you see Tampa Bay potentially getting that veteran guy. What's that guy's name for the Titans? Altron Werner, that was his name. Altron Werner. Yeah, that was a great pickup by them. And I'd also have to say that if there's any teams that I think should make some trades, I think the Dolphins should look to deal Mike Wallace because he's not proven he's that worthy of that kind of money that they